Well, greetings. This is going to be something new for those of you who have been following us for a while. This is going to be episode 1 in a new series called Thoughts from the Trail, which, unlike our virtual hikes are there to kind of give you an idea of what to expect, distance, difficulty, and stuff like that, I thought we'd talk about some more generalized stuff. If you followed us for a while, you'll notice that there's a slight change in video or in production quality here. While we try and keep most of our videos up to top quality standards, these videos are really best shot in kind of a off the cusp kind of scenario. So I'm using my phone, which is something that I never do. This is more about information, and we'll show you some of the sites and some of the places we visited as well to make sure that you guys are ready for your next trip. A couple of episodes coming up on Thoughts from the Trail are all going to be shot from Glacier National Park. So you want to make sure to stay tuned for our virtual hike trails and some of the other informational videos we'll be putting out about visiting Glacier. Today we're going to talk a little bit about preparation. But we've covered about 25-30 miles so far this trip, which has been fantastic. But we've also come across a number of people who have failed to prepare. First example was on Saturday, we were hiking Grinnell Glacier. We ran into this really nice family, you know, kind of a middle-aged couple with a couple of teenage kids. And we approached them, said hi, as we always do. They responded by saying hi, but then asking if we'd seen any dogs or heard any dogs around. We said, no. Turns out that they didn't realize that they couldn't bring dogs on any trails in Glacier National Park or any national park. As a general rule, there are a handful of exceptions. But they didn't know that, so they left their car windows open and they were concerned about whether or not their dogs had escaped. I'm hoping that their dogs were still there when they got back. But the next issue was, as we walked up and one of the kids said, "Oh, you have bear spray?" I said, "Sure do." Said that I wouldn't hike in Glacier without it. I've never had to use it. We've had lots of bear sightings, never had to use bear spray. And a lot of people might see that as a reason not to carry bear spray. Quite the contrary. I once talked to Dr. Tom Smith, who's one of the foremost authorities on bear deterrence, he and Stephen Herrero. And he compares them to a seatbelt when you're in a car. So I've never been in a car accident, but guess what? I always wear my seatbelt and I always go out with bear spray. There are some other deterrent options out there, and we'll maybe talk about those in a different video, but the most effective is bear spray. It's also the most cost effective, which apparently this, at least the father in this family, did not feel like he wanted to spend the $40 or so to carry bear spray. These places are fantastic. If you can make it to Glacier, if you can hike in Glacier, we highly recommend it. But there's some preparation that needs to take place. For one, you need to know no dogs on any of these trails. Now, if you want to take a dog on a hike, there's not a problem. There are lots of national forests around here. You can take your dog. But on national park trails, they are generally prohibited. Another individual we ran into decided he wanted to hike to Grinnell Glacier. By the way, great idea. What was perhaps not the best idea is that he went alone early in the morning. So shortly before we got on the trail, he went ahead of us. And no more than 3 or 4 minutes into the trail, he ran into a sow grizzly with a couple of cubs, all by himself. It's not advisable to go hiking in grizzly bear country alone. A lot of people do, you know, and a lot of people do it and they don't have any problems. But if you do have a situation like this guy did, he was fortunate. Sow didn't seem to be terribly aggressive towards him. But if she had been, he could have been in a lot of trouble. If you look at bear statistics, even if you're just with one more person, and if you stand your ground, you don't run, then chances of a bear actually making contact with you, even if aggressive, are exponentially smaller than if you're by yourself. So again, part of preparation is understanding that there is some advice out there that's probably best heeded. If you don't heed it, then you're taking a certain amount of risk, and maybe you're okay with that risk, but you should be aware of it. So again, we're hiking up to Grinnell Glacier, and it's mid-July, and they had a pretty heavy snow year, so there was still snow along the trail. And with that snow came a couple of crossing hazards that, unless you're prepared for them, they would have stopped you right in your tracks and you wouldn't have been able to see Grinnell Glacier. We understood that that was a possibility. Again, wasn't a guarantee, but we decided we wanted to be prepared, so we brought some micro spikes, and it worked beautifully. When we got to the first major kind of snow obstacle, We threw on our micro spikes, and where there were like 40 or 50 people stacked up trying to decide if they wanted to even tackle it, we were able to get up there and cross without much issue. Once we got across and there was another couple, the husband, I guess, had an ice axe, and so between us climbing up and them having an ice axe, they were able to kind of make some steps, make it a little bit easier for people to cross. But you're not going to have that guarantee. We kept on being told by people, you're not going to be able to pass, you're just going to get all muddy and dirty. But if you're prepared, it doesn't have to happen. Another thing that really needs to be taken in consideration, especially if you're visiting a national park, and even if you're visiting other places, including national forests, places are getting really busy these days. There are lots of people. The secret's out, you know? I don't think any of us can begrudge another person for being here, especially if we're here ourselves. But with that come some considerations. Logistics, traffic jams, time traveling from one location to another, and parking. So here in Glacier, parking's been a little bit of a challenge. Parking lots all across the park are filling up at about 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning, which means if you don't get there by that time, or before that time, you're going to be driving around a parking lot for who knows how long to see if you can snag a spot when somebody's leaving. Problem is, if you get there early in the day, everybody's pretty much just got there, so they may not be on their way out for quite a while. Then there are camping considerations, what campgrounds you want to go to, what facilities they're going to have. There are lots of other things to consider. You can get your reservations, but once you get those reservations, I would really encourage you to spend some time researching not just the activities, but any kind of obstacles that may get in your way. Chief among them, probably, don't hike in bear country without a deterrent. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for this first episode in Thoughts from the Trail. If you haven't subscribed to us yet, please do so. We're going to try and carry on this tradition along with virtual hikes and how-to videos to keep you safe and make the most of your trip in the outdoors. All right, we'll catch you next time. Meant to be.